We're at 4:30.
No. Before we get started, Alan, would you explain that I'm going to be running the meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. It's our understanding that President Schaefer is on district business and therefore is participating remotely. And Scott will present some of those facts as to how he can do that under the new Brown Act. And then you will, under our rules, you will preside over and run the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let me,
Call to order.
Could Scott give those facts
Yes, let me give
for the
the facts.
record?
thank you, Alan. So AB 2449 allows board members to attend meetings remotely if they meet one of the three criteria. One, they can remote participate if they encumbered an illness, official traveling, or medical emergency. And President Schaefer is on official traveling. He's representing the district as a board member of the Special District Risk Management Association, or Risk Management Authority, which is having a board meeting tonight. So that's why he's in Sacramento representing us there on SDRMA's board.
Okay. So the meeting's ready to start. Call to order, please.
Director Nicole Wiltshire.
Here.
Vice Secretary Arlene Schaefer.
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry.
Here.
Vice President Robert Uten.
Here.
President Mike Schaefer.
Here via Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start up with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay. See, I'm trying to remember the prayer. God, please bless this group. Amen.
Wow.
I like it.
I couldn't remember my normal prayer. We've done the roll call. Are there any late communications, either virtual or in writing? And there are no ceremonial matters tonight. Do we have any public comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move for approval.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed or any abstentions? The next item is consider the appointment of five members to the Citizens Advisory Committee. Do I have any nominations?
Well, do we need to discuss this? Because there's 6 people running.
Okay,
And we have 5 spots.
well, yeah, okay, do we have any discussions?
Mike Moore.
Does anyone need to discuss this item? Not, I'll make a nomination.
Mr. President, in absentia, I understood some members, some of the prospective appointees might be there to speak this evening.
Yes, there are, Mike.
Could we have their public comment before we take a motion on appointment? If any of them want to speak.
If they wish to speak, yes.
Yeah, they do get 4 minutes to speak under public comments.
Your wish and your time.
Either way.
We need it for the recording.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Sue Lester. I'm reapplying. I'm currently on the CAC. I'm not going to repeat anything that I wrote on my application. I just did want to point out that I've never missed a meeting in the 7 years that I've been on the CAC. I think with the exception of I did miss an ad hoc meeting, but I told everybody I wasn't going to be there. As the current chair, I would like to say I was excited that we got more applications than we had spaces, because that doesn't often happen. I would, in addition to requesting that the board reappoint me for all the reasons I included on my application, I would ask that you reappoint not only Jeff Arbor, but Cindy Brenneman. Cindy Brenneman, I think you guys have a list that shows who missed what. She did miss 3 meetings in 2024, but they were all excused and they were due to the care of a family member. Jeff Arbor also lets people know when he's not going to be available. He definitely needs to up his game on board meeting attendance, which we've discussed. But I think the value that he brings as a resident of the Orange County Sanitary District is extremely valuable to our committee. And I have a suggestion for moving forward with the CAC. And I don't know if you could do it this time or you would be interested, or if it might be something you want to consider in the future. That if we get a lot of extra applications, rather than having to turn someone down, maybe we create a couple of alternate positions on the CAC where they can come. Obviously, they could come anyway if they weren't appointed. But they could come as an alternate, attend the meetings. They wouldn't be able to vote. But in the event that we have somebody on the CAC that continues not to show up, we boot them and then slide the person who's showing up to the meetings into that space, because we have had problems in the past over all the years since we first started where we have someone that signs up and they don't come to any meetings. And then when we go to address it, they show up at that meeting. And so then it's kind of like the clock starts over. So that's all I wanted to say. It's been an absolute pleasure and learning experience serving as the CAC, and I hope I have the opportunity to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, everyone, staff, directors. My name is Cheyenne Wright. I have applied to be on the CAC, and just wanted to expand on my application, tell you a little bit more about myself and why I'm interested in joining and how I think I can contribute my skills to making our district even better. So professionally, my background is in tech. I owned a software company for many years, and I saw a lot of parallels in owning your own business and in local government. I also have lived here for almost 10 years, predominantly as a renter, recently became a homeowner, so that also has recently piqued my interest in the CAC. More recently, after having my software company, I'm now the CFO of a clothing brand that is based here in Costa Mesa. So we have our warehousing and our creative studio here, and I think being a local business owner, like with physical retail locations and warehousing locations here, that also ties in to our public infrastructure and how are we connecting with local business owners, homeowners, renters, even people that just are visiting and working in Costa Mesa, right? So that's kind of my professional background. I think what I've learned with my finance and project management skills is that overlaps a lot as well with being on commissions like this and attending meetings, giving feedback to council. Those are kind of the direct skills that electeds are even expected to be really sharp on. So in addition to that, I have been on the Parks and Community Services Commission for almost 3 years. I was recently elected the vice chair, and I've had a tremendous experience on that commission. I actually already feel like I've really seen the fruits of my labor in giving feedback and working with staff and council on enhancing really big projects like our CIPs and our budget process, how we can be more transparent, how we can engage the community better. We have had basically a really large amount of grants that we've received in the Parks Department in the last few years. And so it's kind of been this like golden era to get better at everything that we do and make sure that the community is aware of it. Thank you. So yeah, those are a couple of my professional highlights and what I would look to bring to the CAC. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Cindy,
Good evening. I'm Cindy Brenneman, and I am currently a member of CAC and reapplying. And I just wanted to introduce myself to those who I have not met and reintroduce myself to the ones I have met and worked with already. And tell you that no matter what happens, I have thoroughly enjoyed working on this committee. I've been in the city of Costa Mesa since 1972 when I met my husband. I thought I was going back to San Francisco after 6 months and wound up staying in Costa Mesa and made it my home and love it here. And I've done a lot of volunteering in the city in different aspects, as a lot of you know. And I got to say that working with the staff and the board and the committee and putting on the community service events has just been really, really a joy for me and a pleasure. And I've enjoyed all the volunteering with you guys. You guys have done a great job. So I just wanted to say thank you again for everything that you do.
thank you. Okay, any discussion from the board?
I have a comment. Looking, I'm looking at the current members that are in place till 2026. We have one from District 1, one from District 2, one from District 3, and 2 from District 4. And we have 3 people running for the spots in District 5. So I think if we have to make a determination, because all of them are good resumes, good backgrounds, I think we have to probably look at someone in District 5 not being part of the committee. That's just my statement I'd like to make. Because we want to have representative,
No, that's a good comment.
we need to have representation in all of the districts.
Yeah.
Any other board member comments?
So far, nobody is running from District 5.
No, we have 3 running from District 5.
3. Oh, 3.
We have, we have 3 running, and there's only going to be, my philosophy is
Yeah.
2 out of those 3 should be selected. Because all of the applications are great.
Yeah.
Just because that's my comment.
So wonder where each one is from who spoke.
Well,
Okay, we have Donald Neal, District 5, Shannon Wright, District 5, and Sue Lester, District 5. So my theory may not be great, but I thought we should have 2 of those people selected for District 5 and 1 not selected.
okay, does anyone want to make a nomination or?
How are we doing this? I'm not sure how this works.
You just go ahead and speak what you feel.
Oh,
Yes,
Well-
speaking.
well, I don't, let's see. Don't wait on me if you guys have something to say.
I can make a nomination, and then we can see how it flows if you like.
Sure.
I'll nominate Cindy Brenneman and Cheyenne Wright for District 5 and not select Donald Neal from District 5.
So the other,
Pardon me? I said Sue, didn't I say Sue Lester?
No.
Oh, sorry. No, Sue, sorry, my mistake.
okay, so Sue Lester, Cindy Brenneman, Jeff Arbor, Brooke and Cheyenne.
Yes. That's my nomination.
I'll second that.
Seconded, yeah.
Can you give the names again, Art?
Yes. Of the 3 from District 5 or everyone?
No,
Everyone.
Okay, you have Sue Lester, District 5, Cindy Brenneman, District 3, Jeff Arbor, District 1, Brooke Naskey, District 4, Cheyenne Wright, District 5, and Donald Neal, District 5.
Oh, Neil.
Neil, you said would leave off, right?
My suggestion.
Okay.
So who are the five being nominated for the CSE?
It's Sue Lester, Cindy Brenneman, Jeff Arbor, Brooke, and Cheyenne.
Uh, who was after Jeff? Brooke,
Jeff Arbor,
and then Brooke?
Brooke,
Brooke, Natzke.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Cheyenne Wright.
Just want to make sure. By the way, Mr. Vice President, when you call for a vote, because I'm Zoom, I believe we have to do a roll call vote.
Okay, all in favor okay, so we have to do a roll call, vote? Start that.
Director Waldshire?
What am I saying? That I agree or what? Aye?
Okay, thank you. Vice Secretary Arlene Schaefer?
I didn't quite get this whole thing.
We're putting.
So there's a motion on the floor to appoint Sue Lester, Cindy Brenneman, Jeff Arbor, Brooke Natzke, and Cheyenne Wright to the CAC.
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Yes, there was. So now we're taking the vote.
So out of them, you have to choose one?
No, you just make,
All,
you're going to say
that's
all of
the
them.
slate.
yes or no. You agree or don't agree.
Do yes on Sue.
On all,
On this,
we have 5 of them being selected. So we went over those names. Just say, you
I
can
have to
say,
do all 5?
yes, my vote is yes or no.
Yes.
For all five.
Okay,
thank you. Secretary Perry,
yes.
Vice President Uten,
Yes.
President Mike Schaefer.
Aye. Sorry, Nolani.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay. We'll go on to the engineers' reports. Is that you, Mark?
No, it's the general manager's reports
Oh.
first, Bob. General manager.
Well, that.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, we just.
are you finished, Scott?
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
Mark, engineers' report?
Yes, thank you, Vice President Uten and Board. My engineers report this month, there's only 3 projects that I would like to highlight or mention anything of. Project number 8 or project 346 Harbor Generator Addition, through the budgeting process and through working with our RBH, our consultant, that project will be changing to the Harbor Overflow Project. You don't need to take any actions tonight. I'm just giving you an advance heads up of some things that will be changing. The next project, 349 Mendoza Force Main Rehab and Redundancy. Design is being finished up this week, and we will bid that project next week. So that'll be out on the street, and we will end up with dual discharge and an overflow for the Mendoza pump station. So that should significantly decrease the potential for a sanitary sewer overflow on that project when that work is completed. And the last thing I want to mention, and there is an agenda item regarding it tonight, is 355 South Coast Plaza urgent capital repair. We've received the last invoice from our contractor. Besides that invoice, there's a couple of minor things for RBH, and I believe the water, Mesa Water, we have to pay for some water there. But overall, the project is done, and the project will come in at just over $1.8 million. That concludes my engineer's report. Are there any questions specifically for that?
Just one question from me. Have we had a discussion with South Coast Plaza yet?
I'll cover that when we
Okay.
when we get
Sounds
to
good.
that agenda item. I'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right? If that's okay with
Yep, sure.
the board vice president.
Okay with you, Bob?
Sure. Mark,
Yes.
you took money from, looked like 7 different projects to make up the money you need $170,000. Are any of those projects, when they come back, are they going to need to be funded from 7 other projects or 3 other projects?
May I discuss that one under that same item when it comes up here? In about 2 more items, that we'll be able to discuss that whole project together. Don't mind, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Um, do we need to, okay,
It's just, this is a receive and file.
We don't have to vote then.
so the transfer from all of those,
No, we're not on that item yet,
receive
Vice
and file.
President. Wu.
okay,
We're on engineers, item F2 now, if you would like me to cover that item next.
go to item 4.
Or you want me to jump to item 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had things in order here.
He meant number 2.
Item-
He wanted to do number 2.
Engineers report, item F4, I'm asking you tonight to consider transferring $170,000 from various projects to provide, to provide for funding so that we can move and close out what we owe for Project 355 South Coast Plaza Emergency Sewer Replacement. The district completed the project at South Coast Plaza, and I'm now with this last invoice and knowing the couple of minor little invoices we have yet to settle, I have estimated that we need $1,822,558 to settle the various construction-related invoices. The project budget we have is only 1.652 million and some change. So I need about $170,000 to pay for all the outstanding invoices and pay all the costs associated with that project. I am transferring money from 6 projects, and I think that what you're asking, Vice President Newton, is will I have to fund those other projects? And the answer is the manhole cover, no. The calcium project, if you go to the financial review list, the second item, financial, no, we will not have to cover that one. West Bluff is finished up, so I will not need to refund that one. Eldon Emergency Bypass, except for some overland temporary fittings and piping and flex hose that we need to buy. That one will not have to be funded. Demolish Hitchcrafter Building 350. It's done, completed. That project, I believe, has been closed out, so there is some funding there available. I am planning to take $14,000 from manhole rehab 510. I don't believe we'll have $114,000 worth of manholes to rehab this year. However, if you'd like me to find some other source for that one, I'm happy to do that. And the money from those 6 projects will provide for the $1.8 million that we need to settle our invoices for this project.
I have a question. Does that include the permits too?
The permits.
Yeah, like your permit fees that you charge for it?
This is our project where we had to dig down and do an emergency replacement of the sewer at South Coast Plaza.
Right.
We don't have any permits that we had to apply for or pay for under this project.
I was just wondering about that.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
So I guess my board recommendation is that the Board of Directors approve transferring the $170,000 from the 24-25 capital improvement budget to provide for the additional funding for Project 355 South Coast Plaza Emergency Sewer Replacement. The transfers would come from the 6 projects identified in the financial review section, specifically the table that is in that section.
Okay.
That
Does the
concludes my
board have
report.
any questions, any
I'll
additional
move for
questions?
approval.
I'll second it.
for the transfer to the $170,000.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? None? Okay, I guess we go back to item 2, Mark. That project it's so confusing that, and I've been through this so many times.
Oh, I appreciate
Did Mike hear us?
President Schaefer, did you want to add your vote to that?
Aye,
Sorry, you're muted. Thank you.
so no worries.
Thank you, Mike. All right, Mark,
What item, Vice President,
Number 2.
would you like me to take
number
next?
2.
Pardon me?
Yeah,
2?
yeah.
Okay. Let me think here. All right. Well, thank you
Okay.
for allowing me to bring you an overview of the proposed fixture fees, permit fees, and plan check fees, among other fees that we have when a permittee, a developer, somebody that needs to effect a repair of their private sewer on their property, they would come apply for a permit. And tonight we'll be discussing with you and providing you information on the various fees that are being developed and proposed for this project. I will say that we provided this item to the Community Advisory Committee last week, and the feedback, it wasn't unanimous by any stretch of the imagination, but the general feedback that we received is that they would like to see the fees move forward, and that the various fixture fees, which is basically buying into the capacity for additional needs for that particular property, would be passed along to the developers, the contractors, and or the property owners applying for the expansion of sewer generating fixtures within their properties. So let me back up and say that the district hired RDH to perform the fee determination for the permitting program. Let me remind you that RDH also conducted the rate study 3 years ago and developed the various rates, sewer rates for this agency. That same RDN team is again involved in this project, but under the project management of Anthony Lowski. The firm has worked for public agencies for over 40 years. In addition, they've worked for the City of Santa Ana, City of Huntington Beach, South Coast Water District, Molten Miguel Water District, and the City of Santa Ana, among myriad of other public agencies. There's a whole list of them if you would like. I can provide that through Nolani to you. Anthony has performed rate comparisons, cost of rate analysis, and rate designs. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anthony to provide you with the overview, and Anthony's going to go through slides there afterwards, which he and I can be happy to answer your questions. Anthony, I'll turn it over to you.
Anthony, sorry, before you start, did you want to share your screen, or are you comfortable with me?
Do you mind? I was going to do mine, but if you don't mind switching it, I'll just tell you when to move from slide to slide. Does that work?
I'm happy to turn it over to you, friend. Give me 1 second. For the
Sure.
board, there is a hard copy of this presentation on your dais for you to follow along with as well, if that's easier for you.
I'm sorry, I'll just follow along.
There you go. Okay, you should be good to go.
Great. Are you able to see the presentation that I'm providing now?
No, give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Hold on, Anthony. We're getting it for you, up on the screen for you.
Yep, we got it,
No
Mark.
problem.
There it is. Okay, you're good to go.
We're set to go. All right. Thank you so much. And thanks, Mark, for the introduction. My name's Anthony. I'm with RDN. We've worked with the district before, and today we're going to be reviewing fixture fees as well as permitting fees that are collected by the district. The main exercise and what we were trying to accomplish with this study was to ensure that current customers are not paying for things that future customers are should be responsible for, increasing the equity between customers. So we began this study approximately 3 months ago. And the basic thing we wanted to do was determine fees that are adequate and cover the cost of permitting, inspection, plan review, and also the cost of capacity and building additional fixtures that may be needed to service additional connections. We wanted to also identify any revenue sources or enhancements not currently being utilized by the district, as well as define the fixture fees to fund specific types of things that are not currently being funded. And also we wanted to recommend fees that were compliant with all state regulations, including Government Code 6616, 6613, and Proposition 26, which regulates equity between customers. So again, we're looking both at permit fees, which are fees paid when a permit is issued or specific permits, as well as fixture fees, which are paid by new customers when they join the system or when there's enhancements made on a property. First, we're going to look at the permit fees. And just a brief overview, a permit fee is used to recover costs, and these are specific costs incurred by the district for permitting. They're designed to recover the actual cost of these fees, of the permits that are being issued. So that's labor, for example, total time or different tasks that are completed, as well as any other overhead expenses that are incurred to issue these permits. The ultimate goal of permit fees are to ensure that customers do not pay for permitting activities through their rates. The district currently has a list of permit fees. This shows the current permit fees which are being charged by the district. These have not been updated in a number of years. So when we did the analysis, we found that these fixture fees or permit fees were not collecting enough money to fund the actual activity that was being performed. For example, sewer permit, which is just applied to anybody that receives a permit, takes a certain amount of time for staff to complete. And so we want to make sure that that time is fully compensated by the permit getter. The current list, we did change this list quite a bit to look at current permitting activities of the district and different sort of activities and permits that are being issued versus these more simplified version. So when we look at the methodology, we want to look at the total hours that it takes to complete each permitting activity. Each activity is going to have a specific description, which was designed by district staff in order for permit getters to understand exactly what needs that they have when the permitting occurs. We wanted to make sure that we updated all of the labor rates as well as overhead costs that were included in each of the permits. So the proposed permits.
Anthony, can I ask a question
Sure.
now, or you want me to wait?
No, go ahead.
The labor rates, do you use the person's salary or salary plus benefits?
Salary plus benefits, correct.
Good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, no so we did update the list, as I mentioned. The larger list includes additional categories of permits and the time that it takes for district staff to complete these activities. You'll see the expanded list on the leftmost column here. The new categories do not have a current cost, which is in the second column. And then the proposed cost for all of those different permitting activities is included in the third column here. So you can see that to complete a sewer permit, which is applied to all permits, the difference is about $40 in today than it was when these were originally designed, which was, again, a number of years ago. So these costs have increased is approximately 30%. As far as construction of a new lateral, construction of a new lower lateral, those costs have increased equally, about double. And that includes additional labor hours that were calculated to be needed for those activities. And again, the bottom part of this list shows all of the new categories that were designed. When a new lateral is designed, it can be either a small, medium, or a large lateral. And we wanted to make sure that customers were paying for the extra hours that were included for those larger jobs as compared to the medium or the smaller jobs. In addition to the proposed fees today, we want to make sure that you continue to collect the correct amount of revenues for these permitting activities. So we did design a 5-year schedule of proposed fees. The proposed fees for the next 5 years include cost of living adjustments as well as merit adjustments for all staff labor, as well as contract labor increases that are based on any contract labor that's used. And that's primarily in the inspection categories of each of these. So future fees will include those increases in rates through the next 5 years and will not fall behind.
Anthony,
I have
Sure.
a question real quick. Going back to the adjust manhole elevations, do we sub that out? Or we don't do it ourselves, do we?
May I take that question, please? Okay. We do that ourselves on our own projects, or, for example, what I think you're referring to is under a city pavement project in the streets, we pay the city to raise our manholes to grade. This fee, which we don't use very often, but it's called the same thing, basically raise manhole to grade, and that is when a developer has to do some work on private property that coincidentally has a manhole on it, and they have to change that manhole, raise it to grade, lower it to grade, or do something to modify it to accommodate their permit needs.
Okay,
So it's specifically for a permit project.
not something in the streets?
Yes.
Something in private property?
Yes.
Okay, we should probably label that way.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can play with the names, and we can make changes under the final project.
Okay, that was my question.
Hey, Bob, this is Mike. I have a question for Anthony, if it's okay.
sure.
Anthony, can you go back to the slide previous to this one? I listened, I was at the CAC meeting, so I listened to these, and we need a lot of changes, first of all. I mean, we're behind in charges, as you've well illustrated. It's pretty dramatic. I did have a couple of quick questions. Explain what an annexation is for the record, just so that we know, because that's our biggest charge.
I'll take that one again.
Okay, go ahead, Mark. Sorry, Anthony.
An annexation refers to if there is a property outside of our agency's boundary, and let's say for whatever reason that particular property would like to come onto our sewer system that we provide to the public within our service areas. That property that would like to come into our system would need to be annexed by our agency, and so that's part of the fee that would be required as part of the annex of that particular property into our district boundaries.
Okay.
I will tell you that I do not have any experience with that in the 4 years that I've been here, so we don't see too many annexations.
So let's make it a $10,000 charge. It's really get it in there. The other question I had is work without a permit. Is that if they do work without a permit, then we charge them, or I'm still confused about that, what that is. And Mark, if you need to answer that, go ahead.
Yes, I'll answer that question as well. We occasionally run into either a property owner or a contractor that has advised property owners that a sewer permit is not required. And lo and behold, when the city wanders by their property and they see a ditch or a big hole and it's sewer related, they will contact us. We dispatch our inspector to go to that property, and most times than not, we find that a contractor is performing work without a permit. So that fee is the, I'll call it a penalty or
Yeah.
the additional fee to send the dispatch inspector and do work ahead of when the permit it is. And so that cost is to basically retroactively charge that property owner for that extra work. Now, let me add one more thing on that. If a contractor has not performed work in our agency boundaries, and we do keep a list, a comprehensive list on private contractors and plumbers specifically that work within our service area. If we have a plumber or a contractor that came, say, I'll make this up, from Los Angeles, they came to do work here, and they were not familiar with that Costa Mesa Sanitary District is a separate district from the city of Costa Mesa, because, for example, Huntington Beach has both water, sewer, and building all within the city purview. We handle sewer, the city of Costa Mesa deals with building. So those contractors, sometimes when they come out of our service area into our service area, they're not aware that the building permit does not provide for sewer repairs or sewer replacements. And so I try to be lenient on the first oops by a contractor, just so the board understands. I'm not.
Yeah, I appreciate you being lenient, but you know what? That's no excuse. I mean, they should know, or they should do their due diligence. This is a punitive action that we're taking against a contractor, and I think what we're charging is too low. I think that should be stiffer. That's just my, you know, I again, Mark, I appreciate the leniency and the giving them a break, but you know, if they're a good contractor, they should have all those dots dotted and T's crossed. It's just my opinion.
Happy to take that under advisement, and I appreciate the feedback, President.
Thanks, Mark. Anthony, you got off easy. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it very much.
No, and just to reiterate, these fees are not meant to be punitive. They're actually
Right.
supposed to recover the costs of these activities. So in the case of the work without a permit fee, that is directly related to the cost of the district is incurring to ensure that people are either need a permit or don't need a permit, as well as the rest of these. None of these are over the cost that's being incurred by the district. All we're trying to ensure is that the district current customers are not paying because of that delta between what you're charging and what actually costs for staff to do these activities.
Yeah. As you were developing these differences, was there any cross-check with other jurisdictions, city? Is this something we compare with other agencies or other cities to see where we fit in all this?
Permit fees are based on the costs of the specific district. Pretty much all agencies do charge these kind of fees for these kind of activities, but it really depends on what you pay, and you do have a subcontractor that does a lot of the inspection, so it's those costs rather than direct staff costs for those.
So it's not really fair to compare us with Mission Viejo, or I hate to compare us with Irvine because they're way too big, but you know, for like kind of quality, we're going to be pretty consistent though anyway, don't you think?
Yeah, as long as the pay is very similar, then you'll be consistent with local agencies.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Bob, I have another question.
Well, we have one
Thanks,
more.
Bob.
I have another question to Scott. You know, potentially we're going to be annexing Fairview State Hospital, correct? And their sewer lines, because that's private right now.
They're already within our service area. You're talking about the Fairview Development Project? Yeah, they're already in our service area. So what we're just trying to confirm is the number of people are out there, so we can assess them properly on the sewer side. Now we're not going to assess them on the trash side because it is state property, and the state has the right to use whatever solid waste service they want to provide. But as far as sewer service goes, yes, we're looking at recouping costs on the sewer side.
Okay, so that would be a one-time fee of that amount, or is it multiple? Because you have the houses and you have the hospital.
We're just looking at the homes, not the
Oh, just
hospital.
not the hospital?
Right, right. I think the hospital might be already being assessed. I'll have to double check, but it's just the homes that we're looking
Because
at.
I think that they're going to be housing where the hospital.
The new,
is.
the new homes, yes, yeah. Were the proposed new projects?
Yes.
Yes,
Plus, what about the older homes?
yes, that's the one we're looking into right now, is the older
I know,
ones, yeah.
okay.
So there's two, let me jump in here. There's two items. One is what Scott was referring to, is we're just confirming that the current housing as it exists today is properly being assessed for sewer service. What's coming up in the forthcoming future, whenever it arrives on our doorstep, is an expansion to single family, multiple family, various sizes of homes and residences, okay? When that shows up as part of a permitting process, at that point, we will review their project, charge the appropriate fixture
Okay.
fees or capacity fees, and assess them as appropriate for the specific properties involved.
Sounds good. That's what I was looking for.
Okay. So Anthony, back to you.
Great. Were there any other questions on the permit fees? Because I'll move into the fixture fee section now. All right, so moving on. Fixture fees, slightly different. Fixture fees are a one-time fee that's paid by new customers. These fees are paid for the current system capacity that's available to these new customers. The ultimate goal is for equity between the current system customers who have built all this infrastructure and incoming new customers who are going to use this additional capacity that's available in the infrastructure. We do use the buy-in method. New customers are going to reimburse current customers for their carried capacity. And the revenues are separated from general revenues. These do not fund specific projects or staff labor, but they can be used for future capacity-related CIP projects. So what happens is that current customers are not having to repair and replace some of these capacity-related CIP projects. Instead, new customers who are joining the system and using that capacity are paying for those upgrades that are needed in the future. The district currently has a whole list of fixture fees, and these fixture fees are based currently on the individual fixture that's in an application. So when a housing unit joins the system, they'll have XYZ number of fixtures that are included of these types, and they'll pay the total or the sum of the total fixture fees. The current fees were designed based on a single fixture unit. So for example, a floor sink or a shower gang per head is equal to one fixture unit. The other fixtures are then multiplied versions of that. So a floor drain is registered as 2 fixture units, on up to 5 or 6 fixture units are included in each of the higher unit categories. We do propose some changes to this methodology, and I'm going to go through very briefly, try to be as non-technical as possible to explain how we design these fees and what we're proposing. But basically, the main steps that are included in designing fixture fees are to determine the system value that customers are buying into. The methodology that we use for that is what we call replacement cost less depreciation. So that means we're taking consideration of when the fixture was, or when the capacity was purchased, putting that in today's dollars, and taking into account the depreciation that happened between then and now, so that when new customers come in, they're not buying a brand new system, they're buying a slightly used system at today's dollars. As far as the total available capacity, the district does currently have enough capacity to service all customers plus additional capacity. So we're looking at the total available zoned capacity of the district and using that as the divider to determine one unit of fixture value. The one question that we do have is between 2 different options of determining how each fixture has impact on the system. So option 1 is the new, and we believe this is a more fair and actually tracks the impact of individual fixtures slightly better on the system than the current methodology, which will show in option 2. If you just increase the fixture fees to include the updated replacement cost as well as the capacity that's available. Just one thing to note is that when we brought this to the citizen committee on 312, they did believe that option 1 was a more fair option based on the ways that it was calculated. So the calculation that happens, and this is for cost per 1 gallon of capacity that is being for each fixture, the total system value, and again, that's the purchase price escalated to today's dollars, minus the depreciation that's happened in between, is about $78 million. We estimate that the total capacity, and this came from the master planning documents of the current system, is about 26 million gallons. So when we divide the value by the available capacity, that gives a cost per gallon or capacity value per gallon of about $2.99. For option 1, option 1 is based on what we consider to be a more fair valuation of the impact these different fixtures have on the system. Option 1 looks at the gallons per day potential demand or flow into the sewer, as well as the likelihood of the use of that each individual fixture. So you can see in the current fee versus the proposed fee, there's some in the difference there that go up, some that go down, and it's different between all the different types of fixtures. Under this methodology, the district will be collecting what we believe is the fair impact of each one of these different fixtures on the system. However, there is some major impacts that are occurring between some of these different fixtures. So we did want to look at what the current fixture fees would look like if we just collected enough capacity revenue to ensure that current customers are not paying for the capacity of future customers. So option 2 uses the district's current methodology, and you can see that one fixture equivalent is multiplied by the unit value, and the proposed fee is calculated based on that. The difference with current fees are then pretty even between the different types of fixtures because it uses the same methodology. Between the two different fixtures, option 1 is shown in the option 1 column, and option 2 is shown in the option 2 column. Again, some of the fixture fees go up or down based on the methodology that's used. And we believe that option 1 better reflects the impact that these fixtures have on the system overall, the system available capacity. In a comparison of local agencies, option 1's proposed by the city of La Brea. Option 2 is currently used by the city of Cypress, city of Irvine, city of La Habra, and you. And then some agencies use basically the same amount of fixture fee, no matter what type of fixture join the system. And the list at the bottom: Buena Park, Cypress, Orange, Los Alamitos, and Placentia. It is important to note that once again, these fees have not been changed in a significant amount of time. So we are catching up some with the inflation that's happened over the last couple decades. And so you can see that there's been pretty significant inflation. So part of that is catching up with the value of this capacity that's currently in the system, the value that the current customers have paid for that capacity, and then that future customers need to buy in at an equal level as current customers. And that's pretty much the methodology and the two options. I'm going to go back to the slide that shows the two options and ask for questions for this section.
If I could, I'll go first, Bob. So on the fixture fees, Anthony, doesn't matter whether it's residential or commercial. If some residence puts in a drinking fountain, it's the same as if they were a commercial, right?
Correct. This is
Okay.
based on the fixture.
Okay, it's just the fixture. Then I have a question for our council. Are these fees and permit fees subject to doing a Prop 218?
No, Mr. President, they're not. They're, I mean, only in the broadest sense, but this is not a
Okay.
properly related fee. This is a permit fee in which the person getting the service is paying for.
Okay.
Fixture
Yeah.
fees. You're paying for the service, yeah.
I'll, I always get nervous when it comes to that stuff, so thank you. Thanks, Anthony.
President Schaefer, let me also add that while we're not subject to the Prop 218 requirements, our agency still believes in transparency. We will put this on our website. When we get the final report, we will be submitting information to the Orange County Business Industry Council.
Okay.
We will be probably, putting information out on various, public information platforms.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Bob.
Any other questions?
Mr. President, could I correct my answer?
Sure.
I see we're talking about fixture fees. I was talking about the permit fees. The fixture fees do measure capacity, and it's the same theory that you're paying for the capacity you're buying, but it's not a Prop 218 fee.
Okay. Thanks, Alan.
Anthony, I have one question.
Absolutely.
For the total gallons per day, how did you calculate that? Or did Mark?
For the option one,
For the fixture fees, unit cost per gallon.
for the cost per gallon, it was this calculation. So we took this total system value, and the system value was determined by the replacement cost of an asset. So that took into account today's dollars versus the purchase price. And that was reduced by the amount of depreciation for all of those assets. And then we divide that by the total available capacity within the system. So 1 unit, 1 gallon's worth of capacity has a value of $2.99.
So you have a number there that says total capacity gallons per day. How did you calculate that number?
That number came from the master planning, the district's master plan. And that's based on the zoned capacity within the district as far as different customer types, residential, commercial, industrial, and then the potential flow of each of those based on the zoning.
Okay. Okay.
RBH, when they prepared the master plan, Vice President Newton, they looked at our existing pipelines and the installed capacity of those pipelines, and that's what they determined to be the capacity within the master plan study that they conducted.
Okay.
We use those values within the master plan.
Okay, thank you. Do the directors have any other questions?
I have a question. This is just a study. We're not approving this tonight, right? We're just looking at it.
Not tonight.
Yeah, are you going to come back with a, okay.
Yes, our next step, there's couple things we need to get done after we get, what we're trying to do, let me back up and say, what we're trying to do tonight is get feedback from the honorable board. We want to understand what you'd like us to look into in a little more detail, or if you'd like us to go towards option 2 or option 1, that's good feedback. And that way we could finalize the report. Once that report is finalized, we will bring that to you to receive and file. In addition, we will post that on our website. We will send that same report to the Orange County Business Council. We will, get it out into the industry as a whole. And I suspect the developers and the plumbers and the contractors are not going to appreciate the increases that we're proposing as part of this fixture fee study and report. I will, as our consultant mentioned, it's been about 7 years since we changed the permit fees. The fixture fees goes even farther. I think it's 12 years. And so over that 12-year period, the cost of doing business has substantially increased. And so that's why you're seeing the increases that are being proposed. And I would like one more thing to point out to you is that Option one will result in higher fixture fees and puts a higher value on the installed capacity that we already have in the ground today. Option two follows the same methodology that we've employed for many, 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 many years. The reason why option one is being recommended and the reason why is it looks at, as our consultant suggested, it looks at the probability that a kitchen sink, for example, is used so many hours during the day, where the old method doesn't necessarily look at it. It looks at things equally across the board, that they're all used equally. So we do know, for example, in a commercial building during the day, toilets are used a lot more than, some other fixtures. So anyway, just wanted to point that out to you and provide you with this additional information.
What do you think our timeline is right now?
The goal is to have an item before well, I'd like to get to you in May. Worst case, get to you in June to approve the fixture fees so that the fixture fees and permit fees so they can go in effect July 1st.
And Mr. President, just, it's probably assumed in the discussion, but there will be public hearings and the report and all of the studies have to be ready for the public before that, so they can review it before the public hearing.
Would we be doing a lot of this work in a study session? Or what are you thinking, Scott?
Well, I'm thinking that, as Mark mentioned, the next step is to give the report to the Building Industry Association, let them comment on it first, and then we get their comments, and then bring it back to the board to finalize adoption consideration. I think that's the big, last thing we need to do is really get their comments, and then, as District Council mentioned, make it available to the public for public comments as well. So our goal is to, like Mark said, to have, hopefully the board will adopt either option one or option two, whichever you prefer, but we would like some kind of adoption prior to the new budget, so prior to July 1.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any other questions? So we're not going to act on this tonight, so.
No, you are not acting on any item tonight. We would just wanting to know if you would like us to go in a particular direction. As an example, the Citizens Advisory, or the Community Advisory Committee, sorry, I'm wrong name there. They suggested that because of the value of the capacity that's already installed, they felt that option one really should be charged to the developers, redevelopers, and people asking for additional capacity. I'm sure the building department, the building association is going to have a slightly different take on that.
When you're talking about the timing, and you're saying in May, this could come up, would you be first going to the advisory committee again, and then to us?
I hadn't thought about that timing. I suppose we could. We did go.
But see, that would change from May to July to another.
We did go to the CAC, was it a week or two
No.
ago? I don't know that we have to go back, but if you would desire us to go back, we will.
And in all honesty, if we want this adopted by July 1, I don't believe we'll have time to bring it back to this in May, because that's the time they're going to be reviewing our budget, and that's going to take some time to review that. But they've already made a recommendation to the board, so I think the CAC fulfilled their duties.
Are these the same fees that would be charged to both residences and new buildings?
Yes. So, yes, I guess I'll say, it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
It would be charged to both private, public, developers and citizens.
My question is, my hairdresser, they run they run the water through their sink all the time. And there's probably no way, we charge them for a sink.
Yeah, and that's some of the discussion, and that's some of what, for example, the city of Brea, they believe that, you know, that type of sink, a hairdresser sink as an example, should be charged more for for the sewer flow that
Yeah.
particular sink generates. And that's the difference between option one and option two. It says not all fixtures are created equal.
Okay.
So that's why RDN has proposed that the option one, which would generate more and recapture and basically charge appropriately is what they're saying for the capacity that we have in the ground, where the old method doesn't quite capture everything that we need based on the current value.
Good.
Now, between the two options, remember, permit fees and permit-related fees, plan checks, inspections, they don't change between options.
All right. Any other questions or any other inputs? Okay. So we are going on to number 3, Mark.
Sure I get the right one. Okay.
It's a Jameson one.
Yes, yes. Before I get started on this.
Thank you, Anthony. We're done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Before I get started on this particular item, I'd like to say that I need to make a correction to my report that I submitted last week. In the summary section, I referred to Operations Code Section 4.04.100 subsection E. I mentioned that in 2 different locations. I need to correct that to state that it's appropriately section 4.05.050 subsection A. For those of you that may have studied the section that I referred to, I won't repeat that particular section, but for those that didn't have the opportunity to study the new section, basically what Operations Code Section 4.05.050 subsection A says is that our agency has authorization, if the project is less than $60,000, we may either do the work via district force account, or we could negotiate a contract, presumably with a contractor, or the third thing would be by purchase order. And so tonight, I'm bringing you an item which we've been talking to a contractor about, negotiated a fee, and proposed to do that via basically an agreement between our agency and that particular contractor. Let me go back to say that last month, I asked you to sole source the purchase of odor control equipment for the Eldon pump station. We've had an odor issue there for many, many years, when the fan failed in that particular location, the odors only got worse. The reason you agreed to approve sole source was because of the lead time to get the equipment, and during last month's agenda item, I stated that I would bid the installation work. However, I'll say that since last month, I reconsidered my approach. And what I'm bringing to you today is a request to sole source Jameson engineering contractors in the amount of $23,500 for the installation of an odor scrubber at the Eldon pump station. And I believe it's in the best interest of the district and meets with the operations code that I cited to provide this, to install that facility for us. The reason I believe it's of value to our agency is because talking to the city of Huntington Beach, they've installed many of these things. 3 of the installations where they paid $42,340, $36,700, and $34,400. Those prices paid by the city of Huntington Beach was only for installation. It did not include the cost of the unit. I've been able to negotiate the $23,500 cost to have Jameson Engineering install our unit. And I will say that by sole sourcing at Jameson Engineering, we will get the work done, I'm going to say the first week in May, possibly spill over into the second week of May, where if we bid this work I will bid in April and May. We will issue a contract, do shop drawings in June, and we'll actually do the work in July. So I can get this moved ahead by at least 2 months if I can get sole source the installation of this odor scrubber. With that, I will open it up to questions and answer any questions you have.
Mr. President, if I could just make it clear, as Mark said, this is not a sole source exception. This is a negotiated contract exception under the Uniform Cost Accounting Act. We have the authority. This is a public works job. So best interest might be interesting to you. That's not the reason we're doing it. We're doing it under the section Mark mentioned. Negotiated contract.
Does the board have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
You had mentioned some figures for Huntington Beach that they had paid, and then the figure for our district is 23,500.
Mhm.
Does that include the unit, or is that just the installation?
Those prices that I cited are purely installation costs. The city of Huntington Beach, they bought their units ahead of time, again, for the same reason we did, because it's a long, long lead time, and they wanted to solve some odor control problems that they had in their city. So I just wanted to compare installation costs to installation costs to show you that I believe that we're getting a fair value for installation of this equipment.
And we've already bought the unit? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the unit has been purchased. We've actually received some of the material. It's in our yard. So
Well, Mark, I think we ought to go forward with your proposal to get this done before the summer. Which probably the odors are the worst.
I'll make a motion to approve the consideration of sole source contract with Jameson Engineering for this project.
May I correct that? It's not sole source.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
A
under
contract, just a
our authority
contract.
to do a negotiated purchase under $60,000. That's the authority we're using.
I will say, also, there's two separate action items that must be made because this is the installation of some equipment at one of our pump stations. The first action that has to take place is basically our board of directors adopting the CEQA as an exempt under the provision. So basically, I will ask for the initial motion. I will ask for you to adopt the replacement of an existing sewer infrastructure, namely the fan in kind that is categorically exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, Public Resources Code, Section 21,000, under Section 15,302 as a Class 2 project, as stated under 15,302 subsection C, replacement or reconstruction of existing utility systems and/or facilities involving negligible or no expansion capacity. This project essentially replaces a ventilation fan that exceeds its useful life. This project will not change its station capacity and only provides for the replacement of the ventilation system and improved odor handling. So this scrubber does not increase the capacity of the Eldon pump station and should reduce the number of odor complaints from the golf course and surrounding community.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Now, the second motion, I will need legal counsel's assistant with.
Hold on, President Schaefer.
Yeah, mine was aye.
Thank you.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I forget that President Schaefer isn't present. The second motion I need to make, and I'll ask for legal counsel's, if you could help me with the wording on the second, recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. President. You'll be making a finding to award to Jameson Engineering under the authority of a negotiated contract under 60,000. The section of the operations code is 4.05050, subsection A. And that's the exception we're using.
Okay, I'll make that motion also.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any abstentions? Any noes? Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Board of Directors.
Good job.
Okay, I think we're on to treasurer's report
Nothing this evening, Mr. Vice President.
and attorney's reports. Alan?
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. This is your manager's annual contract and review. And as you know, it involves a two-step process after the Bell scandal. The first is the legislation in which we have to give an oral report of what the compensation is going to be before you approve the agreement itself. And here's the statement for the public. The general manager and the board of directors have reached a tentative agreement on the manager's annual compensation increase. The parties have agreed that the general manager's compensation shall be increased by 6% of his salary. His salary shall therefore be $245,373.08. Other benefits will be based on this amount, and it's, of course, retroactive to his salary date, which is in January. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any discussion by the board members?
We need a motion to approve.
Second.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is this a motion to approve the agreement itself?
Pardon me?
Is this the motion to approve the agreement itself?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Is there a second part to this, Alan?
No, I think you've got a report and then you took the action on the agreement, so I think the manager has his increase. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Congratulations. Okay, now we can go on to meetings. The first meeting is, Art and I attended the Orange County Sand District meeting. They're going over their strategic plan, and they also, there were 4 items discussed that night in about an hour's time. The role of the board member, board services overview, transparency and ethics, and strategic plan introduction. There will be a second meeting for the conclusion of the strategic plan introduction. And the Orange County Sand District Board that I will attend will be on Wednesday night. Man, next. Sarfa?
Well, SARFA's meeting not till this Thursday, and Bob's going to take my place at that meeting because I have another commitment.
Okay, it is Doc. Mike, is that you or Arlene?
I don't think Arlene made the meeting, so nothing really to report. They're still talking about dues and things like that, but really, seems like most of the meetings go into planning for their next quarterly meeting, so nothing really to report.
Okay, and Arlene, are you CSDA?
And on the ISDOC, between the holidays, things got kind of goofed up when they were going to meet too. I have 5 different meetings I've been to, CSDA, and actually I gave it in already to staff, so I don't have it for, talking about it. Waco.
Yep.
ISDOC. Let's see, what else? CSDA and the finance on CSDA.
And the various committees, yeah. Okay, thank you. SDRMA, Mike?
I'm here. So I'll have a better report for what transpires this week at next month's meeting.
Are there any other meetings we need to report on?
I'll just real quick, if I could, this Friday, Director Perry, myself, and I think Nolani will be attending the grand opening of the Mesa Water Education Center. And staff has prepared a a few words for me for me to say and a really nice plaque. So we'll take care of that Friday.
Okay, thank you. Any other meetings we need to report on?
Yeah, I attended the town hall that was hosted by Representative Dave Min, and there were about 1,800 people there. He opened with a statement about the administration and what they're doing and how he believed it was both illegal and immoral, a lot of the stuff that they're doing. He started with a statement, and then he took questions from the community. He repeatedly told us that there wasn't much that could be done from his party, but they were introducing legislation and counting on the courts to counter anything that they thought was illegal.
Okay,
And I've turned my meetings I attended in writing to Nolani.
so we can review them next.
Yes.
That's okay. I think that's it. Any old business that we need to discuss? Any?
Just one thing, because Mike, I'm not going to be attending Friday.
Okay,
I have another commitment that popped up.
no worries. I'll give you regrets if I need to.
Okay.
Any new business? Or any oral communications from the directors? Okay,
I just would like to thank the Vice President for stepping in so ably this evening, and appreciate all of you in your patience with me being in lovely Sacramento, California. So I'll have more for you next time. But thanks, Bob, for filling in.
yeah, it was fun. So we don't have a closed session? The meeting is adjourned. You signed all of this, right?
Good job.
Thank you, President Schaefer. See you when you get back.
Thanks, Nolani. Appreciate all your help.
You're welcome.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
You were